You're listening to the official Push Square podcast featuring Ben and Ben. Do you push square?
Hello everybody and welcome to another episode of the Push Square podcast. My name's Ben Potter and I'll be your host for the official podcast of the best PlayStation website on the internet, pushsquare.com. And joining me, as always, even though it's only been 23 times, is Ben Tarrant. Hello Tarrant.
Hello Potter.
How are you feeling this morning?
Yeah, it's a morning, isn't it? I think this is the first time we've recorded in the morning.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, exciting stuff. I'm good.
It's sunny here.
Yeah, it's overcast in London, but isn't it always?
Yeah, I suppose so. I mean, it's been freezing here for the longest time, but yeah, it's really nice today.
You're up north. What can you expect?
I am. You're right. Now, if you're joining us and you missed I suppose it's practically last week's show, but we're actually going monthly. Why are we here so soon? Well, because Horizon Zero Dawn came out and that kind of screwed us a bit. So what we're going to try and do is we are going to make the podcast monthly and make some changes, maybe have the runtime be a little bit longer, add some new things in, take some old things out, that kind of stuff. But obviously, with the dropping of this huge game, we wanted to get this podcast out as close to launch as we could. I know we're nearly a week late, but that's what is happening here, and that's why we are releasing this podcast now. It will then be probably at least a month until we get to the next big game, which we haven't decided yet.
No, we haven't, but we will.
There's a lot of big things coming.
Yeah, there always is around this time.
At the beginning of April as well. Well, we've got Mass Effect at the end of the month.
Yep.
Chances are we'll probably be talking to Associate Editor Robert Ramsey about that in the next show. Now, this show, we've got news, as you would expect. We've then got what we are playing. We're going to talk to Sammy Barker, King Barker, the king of pushsquare.com, about Horizon Zero Dawn, which he reviewed. Then we're going to be covering a brand new section called Moan of the Month, which is where we get to be angry and pessimistic about something, and we love that.
Because we're totally not like that in the rest of the podcast.
No, absolutely. We decided to share the anger and filth in a brand new section dedicated to that. So that's Moan of the Month coming up a bit later on. Then we've got some questions from you guys, and then we're going to wrap up the show. So, should we get started?
Let's do this.
News! Big news, everyone. Horizon Zero Dawn reportedly cost 45 million euros to make.
Jeez.
What do you think of that?
I mean, what's 45 million euros now that the pound's in the toilet?
I mean, it doesn't make any difference to the pound anyway, obviously, because it was made in Europe.
Yeah, but
not the UK, but it's. I don't know how that compares to a film budget. It's probably.
I'm pretty sure because I was researching the tank film Fury, and I think that was like 53 million.
Right.
So it's not far off.
Okay, I'm just looking up the cost of the Avengers because I imagine that's really expensive.
Oh, that's in the 100 millions.
220 million US dollars. Now, probably it won't make that much money back, obviously, than the Avengers did. But I think, God, it's a big budget, isn't it?
It's a huge budget.
I'm also not entirely sure how that compares to other game budgets.
The only other budget that I've seen massively talked about was Destiny's 500 mil, but that's across a 10-year spread. So I guess that's
mental.
a 50 mil. 50 mil a year.
GTA 5 cost roughly $170 million.
It made that back in like half an hour.
Oh, it did, yeah, and it's still raking in money. I think the biggest success story, obviously, is Rocket League.
Yeah.
Probably of the most recent times, and then Minecraft.
Oh, God, yeah.
In terms of development budget, and then insane amount of money made off it. But, I think you haven't played it, but just by looking at it, you can tell that this money has been spent wisely.
They put a lot of money into engine development.
Yeah, and that's good. Now that they've got that,
Yep.
That's going to be really exciting. I mean, we're going to talk a bit about it a bit later on.
Yeah.
But there are just so many small things in there that you notice that set it apart from games that are like it. So obviously in the first party stable that Sony has, there's also Naughty Dog, who have Uncharted, and they do a lot of platforming and, you know, climbing sort of stuff. And the animations for the climbing in this and just the way Aloy moves are completely different. Like, so utterly different.
Yeah.
And it's just the little things like that make it stand out. But I know so many people who have got this game that I wouldn't necessarily consider people who are willing to give first-party games a chance because they know what they like. They know they like their Call of Duty, they like their FIFA, they play their Rocket League, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Their Battlefield 1. And so many people have seen it and thought, yeah, I'll give that a go. It's a weird tribal robot dinosaur post-apocalyptic future thing. It sounds interesting, but I suppose it's kind of a hard sell, you would have thought, to people who don't really follow or aren't really in the core PlayStation audience.
Yeah, I suppose so.
But it's I hope it's doing really well. I'm sure we'll find out probably immediately after releasing this episode quite how many copies it sold, because that's just how these things go. Yeah.
I'm really keen to give it a go. It's just been popping up constantly. The photo mode on Twitter. It looks so pretty, and
it is.
I love an open world to explore and stuff. So
it's fascinating.
Robot
it's really fascinating.
Dinosaurs.
Yeah, like I've said this on the podcast before. I was struggling to get excited for it.
Yeah.
Because I saw it and I thought that looks good, but I don't feel anything. Like, I'm not excited about it. And then it came out and everyone was talking about it. And I'm so glad that I gave it a go, because it's phenomenal.
Good.
It's really good. Next.
The Xbox Game Pass was announced. So now, I know we're a PlayStation podcast, but the question is, should PlayStation be afraid? So basically, the Xbox Games Pass it's a mouthful for a start, but you pay a fee and you get access to a full library. So it's basically Xbox's response to PlayStation Now.
Right.
But obviously we've spoken about our reservations of PlayStation Now, and Xbox has just done it right straight out the bat. They've waited, and they've just come out with a very expansive library, and it's quite a small fee as well for what you get.
It's not a streaming service though. You pay for the game and you download it.
Okay, which is even better, because
that's how that works.
That's even better.
Yeah. Well, it's good, but it shows signs of desperation, I think. Not that really makes any difference, obviously, because it may well just pay off for them, so who cares? But what they're doing essentially is they're supposedly emulating the Xbox 360 within the Xbox One, which means there's absolutely no reason, really, that PlayStation couldn't release a little piece of software that's literally just a piece of software like you would get for your PC that could then emulate PS3, PS2, and PS1 games. That's madness that they haven't done that so far.
Do you know what they should do? Because obviously backwards compatibility is huge. They should sell the software as a little disc that when you chuck it installs it like any game, but it installs the emulation software. Right. And inside that is its own store library. Because emulating these games is not difficult. You take the file and it just reads it off the emulation software.
Right.
It's not hard work. You could have like your own separate library within another console.
Yeah, I wouldn't necessarily be willing to pay for an emulation disc and then have to pay for stuff within it. But I like that idea. There's no reason why they couldn't just release this. Here's the PS2 emulator that just sits on your menu, and you put it in a little folder, you click on it, you open it, and then, as you said, you get access to some software.
But the only reason I said like pay for it and stuff is because anything for free these days is so unlikely, especially when they have this drip feed of PS2 games that make money.
Yeah, but if they're then wanting to charge for games within it, that's going to put people off. It's not like they won't be making money, and they don't need to do anything to these games. They just need the image of it.
But then Nintendo have got away with it with the Virtual Console.
Yeah, but do you pay for access to the Virtual Console?
No, true.
It's just a store, isn't it? Yeah. They could always do like a NES Mini or NES Mini kind of thing, where they just release, hey, here's your PS1 Mini, but it's not a console, as cool as that would be, because that would be ridiculous and unwieldy. And I think the NES Mini is so weird, such a weird idea. I'd much rather have my existing console and be able to access that stuff on it, within it, as a piece of software. If they just said, here is the PS1 Classics, the PS1 Classics, bloody hell, what's the word I'm looking for? Game, or whatever. You can buy on disc, you can buy it digital, it's full retail, but within it, they've got like 200 of the best PS1 games.
That's not a bad shout.
Because the licenses for those have got to be dead cheap, and a lot of them have been on PS3 at this point.
Yep.
As classics. And there's no reason they couldn't do that with PS2. PS3, it might be a little bit more complicated, and exclusively on PlayStation now it seems that there are PS3 games. There are no PS4 games on there. And so they'll probably just keep PS Now limping along. Whether or not this Xbox Games Pass should threaten PlayStation, I don't think it is, because they're already doing their backwards compatibility thing, Xbox One. So if Sony were panicking, they would have done something by now. And this is just another way for people to access games as a backwards in a backwards compatibility sense. If anything, it will just give Sony pointers on how to actually make it possible for people to play old games. Not necessarily their old games, but games that you own. But it will give you or give players a way to access games they want to play that they currently can't play on PS4 because for some reason the console doesn't play those games.
To be fair, to throw a bit of shade, it's interesting that Xbox is putting so much into old games and letting their clients access previously released games when Sony are being very forward-thinking and have one of the best libraries of console exclusives for this current generation.
Well, that's it, isn't it? It goes back to the whole desperation thing, because Xbox have had, Halo Wars 2 so far this year?
Yeah.
And they've got a few things in the pipeline, but they're a long way off.
I'm pretty sure they've got 5, maybe 6 exclusives this year.
I don't know. I just think
this month.
PS4 has had a really good start to the year in terms of games that you literally cannot play on any other console. And PS4 is thinking ahead, and ultimately it would be nice to be able to play old games, but really that's all it is. It's just that it would be nice. Chances are you're going to get access to them, you're going to dabble in them, and maybe play through one of them and then forget about it. If they just release a disc with a load of games on it, you'll dabble in maybe 3 or 4. Same with people who got the NES Mini as well.
It's just nostalgia, isn't it?
Where you'll hop into a few different games, show your kids, hey, look, this is what I played when I grew up, and then it'll sit under your TV, and you'll boot it up every so often when you've got friends round. But chances are you'll still be spending the majority of your time playing the latest releases, which Xbox doesn't really have exclusive-wise at the moment.
No, exactly.
I don't think Sony's got anything to worry about. And if Sony were afraid, they'd do something about it, and currently they're not. There we go.
And actually, Vita is a really good place to play the older games. I love playing Spyro on my Vita.
Yeah, Crash Team Racing on Vita is amazing.
It's like the only thing I really use the Vita for is the older games now.
I use my Vita once a year when I go on holiday. And I load it up with a few games and then I go. And it's perfect. That's exactly what I need it for. I just don't need it when I'm at home because I have no use for it.
Yeah.
It's not because I think it's bad or I don't want to play it. It's just it has its role.
Exactly.
Anyway. That's that. Weird news now. Liverpool Football Club, EA's Peter Moore is now with them. Is he a financial officer? Is that what he's doing there?
Yeah, he's something to do with the money.
That's interesting. Peter Moore with his weird Anglo-American accent. Fox Soccer Plus. It's weird. Peter Moore.
It's cool though that he's. I mean, we've got at my uni. One of our lecturers is one of the old bigwigs at EA. He was like a CO for like 12 years or something ridiculous.
Interesting.
So it's quite nice that they can feel like they can step away from the games industry.
Peter Moore, born 1940, is a British serial killer who owned and managed a number of cinemas in North Wales. Span of killings, September 1995. Victims, 4. Other names, the Man in Black. Jesus Christ, Peter Moore, no wonder you went to America. That's pretty sad that former EA bigwig, Peter Moore, is second on Google after the serial killer. Right, okay, Peter Moore was born in Liverpool, so there's a good chance that he has always loved Liverpool Football Club.
Yeah.
And I'm just looking at his profile now. So he went to, he was born in Liverpool and went to university in America.
Oh, okay.
And that's where he went. So he was CEO of EA for a long time.
That's cool.
And now he is the He's the CEO. He's the CEO of Liverpool Football Club,
way.
apparently.
Wow.
He's actually gone straight in at the top of Liverpool Football Club. To be fair, EA, I don't know how long he was with EA. 2007. Okay, so
10 years.
I remember for the longest time, particularly at the very start of the PS3's life cycle and towards the end of the PS2, everyone was their biggest game, FIFA. Everyone was all over Pez and saying FIFA is rubbish, FIFA is rubbish, FIFA is rubbish. Now, I'm not gifting Peter Moore with the clairvoyance to guide them out of developing bad football games, but since he's taken over, you can't argue that there's been a real turn of EA's fates in terms of having practically the biggest shooter franchise this year, by far. At least the most popular, and also expanding into new areas with Mirror's Edge and all sorts of interesting and exciting new games. I think since he took over in 2007, arguably, people hate EA for various reasons because video games, but he has done a great job. EA has done very well under him.
Yeah,
so,
definitely.
I mean, I know people support football teams with a passion, and I know Associate Editor Robert Ramsey is a Liverpool fan. Yeah. But I imagine he'll do very well there. I don't really know what a CEO of a football club does, apart from maybe make marketing decisions.
Well, he's gonna 10 years at EA. He's gonna know. He's gonna know his way around the block a bit.
Yeah, he's gonna know business, but he doesn't really need to sell a product anymore. I mean, the British football, English football, top flight English Premier League football is a brand all over the world. Manchester United, Liverpool, Arsenal. And so I assume he's just going to be working on building that kind of thing. But I don't really know. I don't really know what the CEO of a football team does. Because largely you would imagine it's all down to the players and the manager. But obviously there's a business there to be run as well.
Yeah, the manager's normally the one in the firing line and such.
Yeah, CEO. He's going to sit pretty probably until he retires.
Maybe that's what he wants, just a quiet life.
Maybe. You better believe that Liverpool will be very well represented on FIFA next year.
Yeah.
They'll all be 99. They'll have billions of pounds to spend. Be amazing. Be a good time to be a Liverpool fan in FIFA. Next.
So, believe it or not, E3 has come around again. It's not far away at all.
It's insane. How does time work?
It's just crazy. It feels like last week we were talking about it on the podcast and seeing all the games get announced and stuff. But here we go. The stream of E3 news is beginning already. And Sony has booked a massive amount of E3 floor space. So it goes back to what we were saying about the steady stream of exclusives that Sony has this year. They're
more that haven't even been announced.
Yeah, they're going to have so much to pull out, and they're really killing it at these conferences and such. They're doing really well, in my opinion. They're really good fun to watch. The God of War E3 was that was E3, wasn't it? Oh, that was special. That was so good. We're obviously going to see more of that, aren't we?
Doing the hoo-has.
Yeah.
Hoo-has in the background. And apparently it dwarfs Microsoft's offering, right? And I think Nintendo also has a big offering too. But currently
they've got
Sony
a console launch. They've kind of got to have a presence.
Yeah, I suppose they have. Haven't they? Switch out yesterday or Friday? Friday. Any interest?
I didn't. And now for some unbeknown reason, I'm quite interested.
You just want to lick all those cartridges.
Do you know what? I'm really intrigued as to how bad they actually taste.
Wouldn't it be amazing if they all contain like a deadly toxin
like and slow-acting poison?
That was Nintendo's
just wipe out the game industry.
get rid of journalists. It's like, well, someone licked it, so now I suppose we all have to. Yeah, but it tastes awful. Yeah, but I want to know what it tastes like. I want to know how awful. It's like that's proper curiosity killed the cat kind of stuff.
Yeah. Suddenly we start seeing news articles that all the game journalists are dying on mass.
All getting sick and dying.
Good.
And the only people left are PlayStation journalists and Xbox journalists, and that's it. Oh dear. We got one sent into our office, and
what do you think?
I mean, it's tiny.
Yeah.
Tiny little thing. I think it's mental. The stuff I'm hearing about the Joy-Cons and the controllers that lose connection to the console and stuff. Yeah. That's mental. I hope people love it though, because I know Nintendo fans are incredibly passionate, and I'm sure they're all absolutely adoring their new system, which is great. Nintendo probably deserve a win after the Wii U.
Definitely,
Definitely. Zelda's meant to be incredible. Never really got into Zelda myself, but
it does look very good fun.
It's getting reviewed crazy good, so I hope people are enjoying that. And Just Dance, the other physical release at launch. I'm joking, there's loads of indie titles that have been out for years, but I'm hoping you're enjoying those too.
To be honest, if they drop a Pokemon title, like a Pokemon Coliseum-esque title, I'm gonna have to go out and buy one.
I don't even want Pokemon Coliseum. Why won't they just do it? Because they've nailed it now. Pokemon Sun and Moon were so good, and they were the first ones to do proper 3D where you could move around in a circle and not just on a grid. I don't understand. Actually, they weren't the first to do that, but like they were the first to properly take their next step into that area. I don't know why you can't just either upscale that stuff or just make a Pokemon title like that with gyms and also, I know Pokemon Sun and Moon didn't have gyms, but you know what I mean. Well, like if they made Red, if they remade it from the ground up but as a 3D game, I would buy a Switch for that.
To be honest, Switch is heralded as being this thing that you can take from the TV onto the train. It's a portable console. Surely Pokemon lives on handheld, so surely this is the time.
Yeah.
To take something that is handheld and put it on something that is handheld but also home console. But yeah, PlayStation podcast.
We'll see. It's an exciting time for Nintendo. But they will be at E3, and they will have more stuff than Microsoft, even though they don't even have a conference there. So
there you go.
Good for them. Now, one that you'll be excited about, Tarrant, Middle-earth Shadow of War has been announced.
I'm very excited for this.
22nd of August is when it's coming out. Now, I didn't get Middle-earth.
What?
Shadow of Mordor. What? Didn't get the hype. Played it after everyone else had played it, and I just didn't. I thought there was no story. A lot of it was repetitive, and it got our Game of the Year, Push Square.
Yeah, good.
Don't understand. Just don't get it.
Well, I'm the complete opposite end of the stick. It was actually my first professional paid piece of journalism as well, my review for that, which was fun. But it took everything, because I like the Assassin's Creed, like the idea of Assassin's Creed, but I don't like its execution so much. And it took that kind of, that world building, that world exploring, the items, the towers, all of that stuff that made Assassin's Creed what it was. It chucked a load of Tolkien mythology in there, and then topped it off with Monolith's phenomenal Nemesis system, which is just, it's so clever, and it really makes you feel like the decisions you're making have some kind of an impact on the world you're creating. It was very much like Fable. What I loved about the old Fable game was that you slowly became more of a tosser if you did bad things, and people reacted to you like that. It was that kind of notoriety that you had walking around Mordor, and seeing Mordor in bloom as well was lovely, like the grassy plain lands and stuff. And it's really cool that Shadow of War is now taking it to a more aggressive and more what we see Mordor as. And obviously Sauron's cropped up and stuff like that. It's, story-wise, it doesn't fit very well into the canon, I don't think. But I'm very excited for this. And also, I'm very excited to see what Monolith's done to improve the Nemesis system. Because, unbelievably, nobody copied it. In the, 4 years since it came out, nobody copied it.
If you want, you can just call it the Nemesis system.
It is a bit of a
that makes it easier. Well, good. I mean, that got a lot of traction.
Yeah.
I'm in the minority. I understand that, but
well, I think it leaked, didn't it? Because a
retailer.
GameStop.
Yeah, good old GameStop.
So they probably had to play their hand a bit early, because the gameplay release is March the 8th. So I'd imagine they were going to do it all in one go.
We'll definitely see loads of it at E3.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we played it at EGX, didn't we? Way back when.
Shadow of Mordor?
Yeah.
I can't remember.
I recall playing that.
No, I do remember. Yeah. Didn't like it then either.
There's a surprise.
Next up, what we got?
So, BioShock creator Ken Levine, ex-Irrational, he's formed a new studio called Ghost Story. And unsurprisingly, they're working on, guess what? A sci-fi RPG.
That's unheard of.
He's never done something like that before.
That's crazy. I'm really disappointed that he didn't call his new studio Rational.
Oh, that is such a missed trick.
How good would that have been if he came out and said, right, new studio?
Rational.
Rational
That'd have been
games.
so funny.
But like his games are really serious and level-headed. I'm going to shoot you in the face now. Fine. Do your best, antagonist. Okay, well that's exciting. Ghost Story. It's a weird name.
Yeah, I mean...
Not the weirdest, though.
No, I mean, Firewatch was made by Campo Santo. Like,
what? Those aren't even words,
Exactly.
just syllables stitched together.
But anything Ken Levine is behind, he's a visionary. He's one of the big visionaries.
He's one of those
in the
interesting
industry.
developers, yeah.
Yeah, so
He is.
anything that he's working on, I'm very intrigued to see, because I've got a lot of love for the BioShock franchise, even BioShock 2.
I never played BioShock 2.
It's just more of BioShock 1.
See, that sounds good. I loved BioShock Infinite, and I know it's fashionable to hate that game, and I don't understand. I know there's a lot of shooting in it, but I didn't mind that. I honestly didn't mind that. I really liked it. I thought it was fascinating, and the ending twisted my mind around in on itself.
Oh, I love that. I love the whole, the kind of self-awareness of the formula. That there's always a lighthouse, there's always a city, there's always a girl. I loved it.
Yeah, and the DLC was phenomenal as well.
Yeah.
I think that was probably some of the last stuff I ever reviewed for Push Square, actually.
That was fantastic. That was so
Really
long ago
good.
now.
Yeah, it was a long time. It was a
Yeah,
long time.
more Ken Levine stuff. Good stuff.
Now, finally, Ninja Theory have been working on Hellblade, which is probably one of the first proper examples of AAA indie,
Yep.
as it's referred to. Looks absolutely stunning visually. I don't think we've really seen any gameplay yet. It's a fascinating concept, though.
The 360 thing on YouTube.
It's just a trailer though, where you could spin it around and look at how
pretty
pretty
cool,
everything
but
was.
it wasn't.
Yeah, just shows off their game world.
Yeah.
It sounds fascinating. She's part of some kind of tribe, and she's got a mental illness of some kind. I can't remember what it is.
One of the they're talking about mental illness. I think she does have some kind of disability in that remark, and they're being very forward with it, which is why it's being heralded, because it's
Talking about that stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
It's quite taboo in games, not really covered unless it's for a gameplay mechanic of some kind, as a throwaway thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, that sounds interesting. We'll be interested to learn what on earth you're actually doing in the game, but it's now entered alpha. So hopefully we'll be able to see some of it running soon.
It's going to be the same situation with Death Stranding. You know that. We're going to get all of these really fancy pants trailers. We're not going to have an absolute Scooby what's actually going on in the game until 3 years' time, when we finally get some notion that it's going to be playable.
He needs to just step away for a while and be quiet.
Yeah,
and then come back when he's got something to show. When he's actually developed a bit of it. Yeah, he's been set free.
It's
going to be mental, whatever it is, and that's fine. But he needs to get on with it for a while before he shows anything else off.
Did you hear?
Lest we be tired.
Did you hear it's going to have vehicles and action and open world? So it's basically Metal Gear Stranding.
Yeah, so it's going to be what do you call it? Like a tactical espionage action. Is that it?
With black goo.
Black goo. Yeah. Okay, well, there we go. That's our news for this show. Now, we have got King Barker on the line waiting to talk about his Horizon Zero Dawn review. We're not going to do spoilers, but we are going to talk about how amazing it is, so get ready for gushing. And now, joining me on the phone, PushSquare.com's resident king, Sammy Barker. Hello, Sammy.
Hello, bow before me.
It's been a while since you've been on the podcast. Was it Uncharted 4 we last spoke about?
Oh, it must have been, yeah. Has it really been that long?
I think it has. That's what, almost a year?
I've been a stranger.
That's crazy. To be fair, we've done like 3 episodes since then, so it's not a huge loss. But you reviewed Horizon Zero Dawn a couple of weeks ago.
I did.
huge PlayStation 4 exclusive, arguably the flagship exclusive in the first half of this year, unless you're a Persona fan.
Yep.
Which we'll get to. Now, I don't know if there's anybody listening who doesn't know what Horizon Zero Dawn is, but could you give me the elevator pitch for this incredible game that everyone already knows what it is?
Okay. It's Guerrilla Games' sort of new IP. You play it as a character called Aloy, who is a tribal sort of hunter, but it's set actually in the future, after sort of a kind of apocalypse on the Earth has taken place. So everything's gone back to kind of tribal times, and it's an open world role-playing game. That's the elevator pitch.
It is, yeah. But the thing I found, because as I was saying just before we started recording, I haven't got too far into it at the moment. I've just got into the open world. But I think the people, especially me, I wasn't too hyped for this game before it arrived, but it's the hook of what happened before. And how this game tackles religion and sort of the patriarchy and all that kind of stuff, like sort of social structures that we're used to. That's so fascinating. And I think it's just, it's hugely intriguing about what occurred. Is the payoff worth it?
Yeah, the payoff's definitely worth it. The first hour of that game is brilliantly done. I think it actually has been undersold how good the first hour is, because it raises so many questions so quickly about the current state of the world and, like you said, the past state of the world. And it kind of traps you into the storyline straight away. It's a brilliant start to the game. And I knew after the first hour, because I was a bit like you, I wasn't sure. Guerrilla Games has made good games. I knew this was going to play well, but with Killzone, the story was never there. The story was always just awful.
Yeah.
But Killzone always had good lore to it. There was a good backstory. They just never found a way to explore it. And I thought, this game is going to be a similar thing. They're not going to be able to do justice to this incredible setup, but they absolutely do. The story just keeps going, and it. While they, what can I say without spoiling it? They don't have a mechanism to, what's the word? They don't have a mechanism to explore the old world as well as I would have liked. So the final quests are a bit, you're listening to a lot of data logs and, audio files and stuff like that, because they don't have a way to show what happened before. But what they do tell you in those audio files and stuff is fascinating.
Well, immediately they dump you straight into that sort of environment, don't they? Right at the start of the game, and you are largely listening to data recordings. And I never thought any game could make those interesting, and they were so fascinating.
Yeah, well, there's a lot more of that to come at the end.
Good.
But I think also the current timeline stuff with the tribes and stuff, like you're saying, is brilliant too. There's all this politics of the different tribes that have been in conflict, and it all makes sense sort of when you expand into the larger open world. It makes there's a tribe called the Karja, and they feel authentic to a kind of what can I say? A kind of more tropical climate, shall we say, whereas the NieR tribe that you encounter at the start, they feel more Norse, a bit Viking-y, a little, so it's really well done. I think stuff like the art direction's amazing. The way the clothes that they wear, for example, is just brilliant. There's a combination of the kind of sort of wild animals that they've slaughtered, but they've also got bits of robot built into their costumes and stuff like that. It's just, it feels like an authentic world. It's very believable, even though it's obviously so fantastical. It feels like, this is a real place, and that draws you in as well straight away.
Yeah. Now, before launch, there was a hands-on session that press were invited to play at, and footage came out of that. I think it was leaked, actually, about half an hour of footage on a particular YouTube channel. And it showed some of the dialogue and discussions, and it was very wonky, and the voice acting was a little bit naff, and the animation's a bit stiff, and that set alarm bells ringing. for us. Now, I have since encountered that quest in the game.
Brom.
I would say, I don't want to hurt her.
That's the one.
I would say it's probably an anomaly, right?
Yeah, that's absolutely the worst example of bad voice acting in that game. I mean, there's some weirdness in the sort of facial animations and stuff like that. But I don't know if you saw today, there's a Mass Effect Andromeda video come out.
I don't know what's happening with the faces in that.
Horizon looks next gen compared to what's going on in Mass Effect. So I guess we shouldn't criticize it too hard, really.
I suppose, yeah. I mean, there's what's it? I suppose the weird, lingering facial expressions of Telltale games is sort of evident from time to time.
Yeah.
In Horizon, but it's not so bad because it does flow relatively smoothly from cutscene to dialogue.
Yeah, I think it's fine. I think that what I said in the review was because the character models are so good, it looks worse, if that makes sense, because they look like almost real people, and then you've got the uncanny valley aspect of it, but it's not a big deal. Mm-hmm. And I mean, we haven't even touched upon yet the most important aspect, which is the gameplay, which is bloody brilliant. Like the actual action, because this is the thing with these kind of games. Mass Effect, Fallout, The Witcher, they're all great stories and you get involved in role playing in them, but they kind of play like rubbish, in my opinion. They're not fun to play, in my opinion. The Witcher especially, just we won't go there.
But, fair enough.
But this game plays like an action game. This is like a third-person action game that also happens to be an RPG. I just think the combat's brilliant. The use of the different tools. You can tie the robots down. You can knock their parts off. You can turn their weapons against them. It's just so fun to play. And the hallmark of a great game, I always say, is if you still want to play it after you've done the review. And I'm still playing it. Like, I want to get the Platinum Trophy. I just love the combat. I think it's so much fun. Yeah.
I'm so obsessed with picking up every resource I see on the road, even if my objective's right there. Quick, follow me. Hang on, I need to pick up this tree for some reason. I don't know where I'm putting it, but I've got it. It's mine now.
Yeah, but it's all nicely streamlined, isn't it? Like when you just running along and you can go into crafting a new set of arrows just in a couple of button presses. It all very seamlessly segues into each other. Yeah, but I know what you mean. I pick up everything as well.
What's the Platinum Trophy like, just out of interest?
It's very doable. There's no missables. It's a fun one. It's a fun one because it's one of those ones where you don't have to rely on guides and stuff, because there are like maps you can buy that show you the collectibles and stuff, which I always appreciate. I find that more compelling to get the platinum that way than you're stuck on a forum trying to decipher what someone's written. It's behind this tree, and you're like, well, where's that?
Yeah, using an hour and a half long video guide or several hour long video guide to find the treasures in Uncharted. Or having to play it through and ultimately just ruin the game forever by playing it on the hardest difficulty and just wanting to hate it.
Exactly.
It's so annoying. The weapons, there's a huge variety. I've noticed that there are a few available to me to purchase that I haven't been encouraged to buy yet. As someone who is at the end game, or presumably past that, are these weapons worth buying just for experimenting with different things, or does it make it a bit confusing because obviously you can only carry or fast equip anyway, sort of 4 weapons at once?
Yeah, I found myself experimenting with everything, and then I think inevitably you'll fall into a sort of format that you like to play as. So I like tearing the pieces off the robots and killing them that way. That's the way I play it. Right. But I've seen like on YouTube people playing it, and they'll use the one that ties them down a lot, and yes. I didn't really use that one. So it feels to me like you've got like scope to find what you prefer, and then you can kind of stick to that, or you can change it up on the fly, because you can carry more weapons. I know what you're saying, like you can only fast equip 4, but you can easily swap them in and out if you want to do that. Right. And you can change your strategy depending on the robot type. I don't know how far in you are, but some of the robot types require different tactics, some of the later ones.
Okay, well,
particularly the bigger ones, which we won't spoil.
Yeah, I've just fought two of the bigger ones, not the T-Rex from the trailers and stuff, but the big ones that I don't know. They're sort of like jungle cats.
The Sawtooth.
Yeah, I think so, but really big, like twice the size of Aloy.
Have you encountered one of the big ones yet?
No, I haven't. I've seen one of the tall ones, the ones with the long necks that have also been in trailers. But I just took on two Sawtooths at the same time, and I tried to be clever. I put down the little trip caster thing with the electricity, and I threw about 50 bloody rocks to try and lure them closer, and one of them walked through it and the other one looked at the other one as it fell over, and I was like, well, bugger, I'm not going to go and get involved in that. And then I threw another rock because I'd put a trap just beyond it, and I hit the trap and blew it up. And then they knew where I was, and I tried to run around and use arrows, and ultimately I'm a really big fan of the spear. And so I was rolling through their attacks. I was playing Dark Souls, basically. I was rolling through their attacks and then going for heavy attacks and then rolling back again. And it's just that how quickly you can switch from bow and arrow or projectile weapon to the spear is phenomenal. It's so smooth.
Yeah, it's awesome. Wait until you encounter the Thunderjaws and the Storm Bird, I think it's called.
I've seen that, yeah.
I think what they do brilliantly is, like you were saying, the Sawtooth feels massive the first time you fight it. It's like they even set it up as a kind of early boss fight.
Yeah.
And then, like, they're minuscule compared to the ones that you encounter later on. They're like no danger at all. So it's like you've got that constant sense of, wow, this is getting crazy. Whoa, this one's even bigger. Oh my goodness, this one is gigantic. And then they start pairing them up. Mm-hmm. And because they all require different tactics, obviously, you have to sort of cope with them. I'm going to tie him down, and I'm going to blast this one's parts off. It's just a really great combat game, and you can tell that it's Guerrilla's, because Guerrilla's chops really are as a first-person shooter developer. You can tell they've took all that learning and then extended upon what they can do by sort of tackling the open world and the RPG aspect as well. Mm-hmm. But first and foremost, it's a good combat game. It's just really good, isn't it? It's just really good.
Yeah, it's as soon as I started it, and I mean, as we said, but without specifically mentioning things, as soon as it started within the first 10 minutes, I was completely hooked. And I knew what they were setting up in that first 10 minutes would not be revealed until the very end of the game. And I was just thinking, I'm in for the long haul. I want to know what happens at the end.
It's amazing. Guerrilla Games. Who thought they could do it? I didn't think they were going to do it. I didn't think it would be anywhere near as good as what it is. Personally, I just feel sorry for them that all the Zelda reviews dropped the same week.
I know.
But whatever. It's still a good game in its own right.
Absolutely. Now the big question, and people at home will see this as the title of the episode, hopefully, if they're paying attention. But is this the best exclusive on PlayStation 4?
Ooh.
Does it beat Uncharted? Does it beat Bloodborne?
No, I don't think so.
Or is it on their level?
I don't think it's on their level. I think it's an amazing first attempt. But no, I think Bloodborne's close to perfect, personally.
Right.
I love Bloodborne. Mm-hmm. And I think Uncharted... no game has the polish that Uncharted has for me. Mm-hmm. Like, even this game is, and we haven't even mentioned the graphics, this game is just ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like, ridiculous.
And you're playing it on Pro, aren't you?
Yeah, it's ridiculous. But Uncharted, Uncharted is like a movie, whereas this game isn't quite there yet, but I could definitely see them getting there. There's going to be a sequel,
right?
And there's so much they can improve on this, even though I think it's really, really good. Like, you can reel off things that they can improve in it. Like we talked about, the facial animations, they can make it so your dialogue choices have consequence, because they don't really have any consequence. So there's lots they can do with this, and I think they will. I mean, it seems to have sold really well, so they're obviously going to be making another one. But no, I don't think it's the best exclusive. For me, the Last Guardian and Bloodborne are the best exclusives.
I forgot about The Last Guardian.
Yeah, well, no, I mean, The Last Guardian's got real issues.
Yeah.
Nowhere near the polish that this has, but The Last Guardian's just special for me.
Okay.
But that's just my personal opinion. But no, I don't think I still think Bloodborne's the best exclusive.
Okay. Now, you said that it sold really well from what we can gather. Now, I haven't actually seen any confirmation or news from Sony itself talking about the amount of units shifted or sold so far. Has that information been made available?
No, it hasn't, but I think we can come to the safe conclusion, judging by how it's sort of tracked on Amazon pre-orders and stuff like that, that It's done ridiculously well. I mean, they said it comfortably outsold Zelda in the UK sales charts. That was one report I saw.
Okay.
And if... I don't want to stoke fanboy flames, but I feel like the Horizon launch has been a bigger deal from the way it's been marketed and stuff than the entire Switch launch in the UK. That's anecdotal. That's how I feel. If you go in game, my local game, it's kitted out with Horizon stuff everywhere, and there's no sign of the Switch,
Wow.
which is odd. But yeah.
Yeah, just from walking around Newcastle, I've seen one bus station poster or bus stop poster for the Switch, and I've seen Horizon on buses.
Yeah, it's everywhere. They've spent a fortune on it. Yeah, but I'm sure they'll come out with some numbers soon. That they'll be sure to boast about that. I'm sure
they should do. I mean, regardless of sales, it's, as you said, almost guaranteed that.
I think the one thing that we know for sure is they said that it's Sony's biggest new franchise debut of the PS4 generation. So it's done better than Bloodborne. No Man's. They count Bloodborne, No Man's Sky. They count in that Until Dawn and stuff like that. So
excellent,
done pretty well.
Now, again, completely avoiding spoilers, but at the end of the game, does it set itself up for a sequel that would continue on from the events of this game, or would it probably be better suited to be set in at another point in this universe's history or future?
Well, firstly, they're not going to drop Aloy because she's one of the best things about it. She's a brilliant character.
Aloy?
Exactly. Very good.
Use that as a subject line if you like.
They're not going to drop her. She's a brilliant character. But it does wrap up her story quite conclusively, and then it teases a sequel. But it's not sequel bait. You know, a lot of people think that it's got all these, like all the questions that you said, it does wrap them up. You find out the answers to everything you want to know. It doesn't leave you waiting for Horizon 2 to answer the questions that you're waiting to have answered.
Okay, excellent. Does it like sort of end with Aloy suddenly discovering that she's got a sister called Beloy, and then the next game follows Beloy and her adventures, and they're identical, they're twins as well, which is very helpful, and they sound the same.
No,
no, it doesn't.
No, that doesn't.
Okay,
that doesn't happen.
DLC then, that's fine. Fanfic maybe. I'll write it. It doesn't matter anyway. So the full review is up now on pushsquare.com. Is it still on the rotating circus of fun at the top?
It's not, but if you go to the review page, you should find it quite comfortably. Okay. There's also a Horizon Hub page which we made, which you can follow on the site. If you go to the menu at the top left of the site and click on the topics, you'll find Horizon as a topic, and you can follow it. And then you can get all of the Horizon, the guides, the review, the news, everything in one place. If you really that much of a fan of it, you wanna focus on it.
Right. Excellent. Well, you've told me as an extra treat, because NieR is out this week. NieR Automata or Automata?
I've absolutely no idea.
NieR Automata, I don't know. You have played a lot of it. Yep. The review is out now?
Yep.
Is that right? Okay, so we're going to talk about that as well. Let's take a quick musical break, and then we'll be right back. So, joining me on the phone still, King Barker from pushsquare.com. Hello, King Barker.
Hello again.
NieR Automata, tomato, whatever. It's been getting ridiculous reviews. I don't know much about this game apart from the fact that it had a prequel on PS3 that nobody played. Can you please tell me what this is and why we should all pay attention to it?
I hated this game when I started reviewing it. I hated it. You have no idea. I was sitting here with Ramsey, Robert Ramsey, associate editor, and I'm like, this game is rubbish. This game is so bad. I hate it. I don't know why I volunteered to review it. I was saying I shouldn't have reviewed this. It's weeb rubbish.
It looks like a Ramsey game.
Yeah, exactly. It's anime trash. I hate this game. So I completed it. And if you don't know, one of the gimmicks for the original NieR was they call them runs. So you complete it, then you complete it again, then you complete it again. And each one is kind of a different campaign. So I completed the game the first time and I hated it. I start playing through it again. I'm like, I've got to force my way through this. I've got to replay it. And it grew on me a bit. So what it does is, the first playthrough you play as a character called 2B, who is an android. It's kind of an action RPG. It's by Platinum Games, so it's quite flashy action to it. And if you played the demo, it's not really like the demo. It's more of an RPG. There's side quests and a little open world that you can take on different activities and stuff like that. But anyway, you complete it, and then you play it again, and you play it from the perspective of a different character who we won't spoil. And what it does is it gives you a different view on the events that happen in the first playthrough. So are you keeping up?
Yeah, I'm paying attention.
So you get a different perspective when you play through it the second time. Then you complete it for a second time, and the game starts properly.
What?
So I'm not kidding you. You get the title card about 30 hours in.
That's insane.
It's mental. It's ridiculous. But what it does is it slowly. So the story starts out very, very anime, very boring. It's all about sort of artificial intelligence and can it develop human emotion and stuff like that. You know, we've been here a million times before, right? I was like rolling my eyes at some of this stuff. But then it slowly starts introducing, it flips that concept on its head a little bit, and it starts it grows in stature a little bit in the second playthrough. So by the time I'd got to the third playthrough, I was like, okay, I want to see where this is going. And the third playthrough is kind of the game, if you like.
Right.
And with the third playthrough, it just goes absolutely mental. The game is so imaginative and so creative. It does so many things that I wished I could talk about, but I really shouldn't, because it would spoil some of the aha moments that I had with it. It just does some ridiculous stuff. The true ending, which you get after you've done certain things and you've completed it through these 3 times, the true ending is ingenious. It's ingenious. It has the best credit sequence I've ever seen ever.
Wow.
And it's such a weird game. It's so strange. The tone of it, the vibe of it is so unusual. It kind of has black humor, but then it can be kind of heartbreaking at the same time. Sometimes it's just downright silly. Like there are these little robots that the things that you're killing are called machines, who have been created by aliens, and sometimes they dress up in circus clothes. All right, it all sounds so stupid, but I found it kind of affecting in places. It made me sort of question things, which is unusual for a game. And it's also really fun to play. It does a lot of genre bending, I like that word, where it'll just, suddenly it's a side-scrolling platformer, and then it's a dual joystick shooter. One of the chief mechanics is you have this little pod that kind of follows you around, and you can kind of fire off like long distance shots with that. So that kind of brings in like a shmup element to it, where it will just go into like Space Invaders type game at some points. It's really, really unique and unusual. And this is what people liked about the original game, that it was just bonkers, and didn't care for convention. But I think what they've done here is they've got Platinum Games in, and while it isn't Devil May Cry, it's not Bayonetta, it's not quite to those level, it still plays really well. It's a good character action game as well. The complaints I'd level at it are that, like, the side quests really fall into like genre tropes. Like there's a lot of fetch quests and escort missions and stuff like that. But while the writing that kind of accompanies those side quests is actually pretty good, there's some interesting characters in this game for sure.
Right. Okay. So the 3 times playthrough to actually get the main game, but it ends up being about 45 hours.
Yeah.
So it's about 15 hours a playthrough, roughly?
Yeah, depending on how many side quests you bother to do. You could probably do it in less time if you wanted to sprint through it.
Right. So that sounds that's it's a very novel concept. It sounds like the kind of thing that would lend itself not necessarily better, but more recognizably perhaps to an indie game that had a shorter runtime. Is someone at the moment it seems to me at least that the main audience for this game will be the people who loved the first NieR, who will play it forever and love it. Now, anyone coming in brand new, I already know that it's sort of completely unrelated to the first one, right? So you don't need to worry about having played that.
There are nods to Drakengard and the original NieR, but yeah, you can definitely. I hadn't played the original NieR either, and I was absolutely fine. It's set so far after the original one that it's kind of a new game, really.
Right. Okay. Are they going to be able to get their heads around it though? As in, people coming in, they finish the game, the credits roll, and then it encourages them to start another playthrough. Are a lot of people just going to think, okay, well, that's it, I finished the game? Are people going to know? Is it obvious that they should carry on playing?
In the letter that they sent with like the review code, they were like, you haven't finished it when you get to the credits, you need to keep going.
Right.
The game, I don't know whether this was the review code, but there was a message from Square Enix PR when you complete it that says, no, you need to play it again now. So they made it abundantly clear to reviewers, and I think reviews have been quite clear about saying this is the gimmick of this game, you need to keep playing it. But yeah, you can die in the first mission and you'll get the credits. Yeah, it does that. So there's there's an ending for every letter of the alphabet.
So I love that. I love that it's so weird and quirky and does that kind of stuff. But we may be getting ahead of ourselves completely here in that we're discussing if Average Schmo gets it and then finishes, the first section.
Yeah.
Whether or not they even then continue. But are people even going to buy this game? Is it too niche? Is it too weird? Like you said, you didn't care, and the first little bit completely put you off. Were you invested by the end of the first playthrough, or did you only carry on playing because the reviewing guy told you had to carry on playing?
Yeah, I carried on playing because the reviewing guy told me, but I'm so glad I did. And I think one thing reviewers have been quite clear about is that the rewards are there. And I completely agree. Like, it's not very respectful of your time at all, but you kind of have to, the payoff is there. If you have the patience, you will get rewarded for it, because like I said, I hated it, and then I actually really, really liked it by the end. Right. But yeah, I agree. It's a weird game, but the director, Yoko Taro, he's infamous for this kind of thing. So one of the things I learned reading about the original NieR before I wrote the review was there's an ending in the original NieR that would corrupt your PS3 save file. It's just like, no, you can't play this anymore.
Yeah, I heard that.
And this game is full of stuff that breaks the fourth wall like that. Like it's. I wish I could talk about it. I can't.
It sounds like something I need to play, but the horizon is so literally. That's not even intentional. That it's so full. It's so full. Persona, Mass Effect. There's so much to play for me at least, and I imagine for a lot of other people as well. In these next few weeks, this next month, that I'm worried it'll get lost in the shuffle. I know NieR 1 wasn't a huge shifter of units, but I'm hoping, on the stellar reviews and the fact that it is so quirky and different, that people will come back to it because I'd love to play it, but it's just not going to be at the top of my list for at least a couple of months.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think they probably have modest expectations for it. I don't think that one thing we didn't say is visually, particularly coming off Horizon, visually it looks garbage. It's a horrible looking game, and it doesn't even run very well on the PS4 Pro. I dread to think what it's like on the original PS4, but it just stutters and it's not great at all. But the character models are really good.
Yes, I know you're a fan.
Yeah, the character models are great.
In sort of a weird, leering way, the character models. It's a console exclusive, right? It's on PC.
Yeah, it's coming to PC.
But it's only on PS4 console-wise.
But it's one of the, I mean, again, I'm going to stoke the fanboy flames again here.
Okay, go on.
But it's one of those games that would only sell on a PS4, if you know what I mean. Like, there's no audience for this game on an Xbox.
No, you're right.
None at all.
I understand. Yeah, I get that.
But yeah, I mean, the start of this year's been brilliant for stuff like this. I feel like Japan developers are like back on form. We've had Yakuza 0, Nioh was really good.
Gravity Rush
was great. Resident Evil 7 was great. Mm-hmm. This is great. They're back. Persona 5's coming out. It's awesome.
Oh, I'm so excited for Persona 5. God, I can't even put into words, man. It's just... I hope it blows my mind. Anyway, this review is most certainly still at the top of the rotating circus carousel of fun.
And it doesn't tell you anything. Like, my review is like, I can't really talk about this game.
You'll have to read the review again, and then again, and then you get the true review.
Exactly, that's the secret.
That's how it works. Yeah, you got to enter some special code. Crazy. All right, well, Sammy, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you.
We'll have to get you back on again soon. Let's leave it half a year. We'll talk to you in September or something.
Okay, awesome. Thanks for having me.
Thanks, What are we playing? Tarrant, what are you playing?
Honestly, not very much. I've been pretty swamped in life in general. But I have been playing quite a bit of Titan Souls. It was a little indie game that we got with PlayStation Plus. And it's taken the Dark Souls formula, hence the Souls part of the title. The whole idea of a weak individual facing off against a monumental challenge and dying repetitively, and learning through death how to overcome said challenges. And I was always really afraid of that formula and looked at Dark Souls from my pedestal of easy games. I thought, I'm never going to be interested in that, and I got into Dark Souls 3, and now I enjoy that challenge. So Titan Souls was like a really nice middle ground of like an indie game that has that look and feel of a Dark Souls game, but it's clever because you only have your bow and everything's one hit kill, and the world's pretty big because you're pretty small,
right? And
you have to explore it. You have to defeat a Titan, and you have to defeat all of the Titans in an area, and you can move on. And the way you have to defeat them all is so weird. One of them's like a giant brain that you have to wait until it's in a certain point. Another one's in a giant ice cube, so you have to get it to go over fire as it flings itself at you before you can then hit it with the bow.
Right.
It's all very that kind of formulaic. It's got the puzzle element that you'd see with like a platformer, but merged into a boss battle, and it's actually really good fun, but in small doses. And
okay.
I'm playing it in a small dose element, so I'll jump in, I'll face off against the boss 2, 3, 4 times, because that's it, there's nothing else, there's just bosses.
Right.
And then I'll probably put it down. It's my jump in, jump out game, purely because Rocket League has been having an absolute assault of updates recently. So every time I go to play it, it's got 15, 20 minutes of updates to go through, so I pick something else up, basically, which is a shame, because I do love Rocket League. It's just a quick 5-minute game here and there. But, yeah. What about you? What have you been playing?
I had associate that was a Robert Ramsey round to play last weekend.
Oh, yeah.
And we jumped it because it was the free week of PlayStation Plus, which coincided because I don't have PlayStation Plus because I don't really need it. I don't play many games online. Which, coincidentally, very quickly, they sent me an email trying to get me to rejoin.
Oh,
and
I miss you.
They offered. Well, they initially sent me a survey because I've been a member for years. They sent me a survey saying, "Why'd you go?" And I just said, "Well, it's just a bit rubbish, isn't it? I don't need it." So, and they sent me an email saying, "Hey, don't worry, come back. We'll give you a month. We'll give you a month for 87p."
Huh.
And I still said no. Honestly, if I'm going to cash in on it, I will wait until the very end of the deadline to do so.
Yeah.
Because I can't think of anything I want to play online. And this month's PlayStation Plus games, including Tearaway, I played Tearaway on Vita. I know it's slightly different, but it's just I don't have time for these games anyway.
Yeah.
These free games. So, and I don't want to accidentally have it roll over into a full subscription again, because then I'll get stung. So I might cash in on that. Anyway. So coincided with the free PlayStation Plus weekend was the Ghost Recon Wildlands beta.
Oh, and you had some premium content from that.
Yeah, I mean it's okay, right? It's a weird it's typical Ubisoft, like a weird combination of all of their games, like Far Cry, the Divisions, gun porn, and other Ghost Recon like tactical shooters.
Yeah.
But in a world that's got like loads of weird, quite annoying flaws, like when you go down, you can't choose to bleed out, so you respawn, you have to sit there for a minute waiting for someone to either pick you up or not pick you up. I didn't play in single player at all, and I know if you do, you get AI companions who have the worst banter in the entire world. Like, they tell awful jokes, they tell awful stories. It's just, it's awful. It's like, it's trying to be a bro shooter, but it's not. And even if you're playing with friends, just two of us, me and Robert, running around together, there will be four people having a conversation with each other from time to time. It doesn't make any sense. When it works, it's great, like sneaking into a place and trying to take people out and stuff, but sometimes there are weird little glitches where they'll spot you even though they shouldn't be able to see you. And then Alex Stinton joined us for a while, and I was on a tractor and they were chasing me with like lorries and stuff. It's sort of the same fun I got out of GTA 4's online, in that it was kind of basic, but it's what you make of it. So any game for me is fun in co-op. Like Resident Evil 6, not a good game, but playing through it in co-op, brilliant fun, because it's just fun to play games together.
Yeah, definitely.
In that sense, and work together to get through it. So, yeah, there were times when it was great. Like, I'd get the helicopter, Robert would get in and then parachute above the objective. I'd land nearby, and then we'd meet up on different sides of the town and work our way through it. When it works, it's great, but it's just not quite together, and I am not interested enough to buy it full price. I might pick it up down the line for maybe around 20 quid, but for the time being, they pulled in a lot of people, 6.8 million players.
Wow.
But I don't know how many of those are actually going to buy it, because I had some crazy glitches, and all of the feedback I got in response to posting them were, this game is not good. So I'm worried about it, really.
Yeah, it sounds like The Division, in the sense that if you don't have any friends, it's not a good game.
Ouch. And also, I don't have PlayStation Plus anyway. The thing is, it's out... God, when is it out? Is it out in a couple of days? Tomorrow?
Oh, geez, really?
Yeah, so it was sort of like NieR. It was sort of a, hey, here's our game. But NieR had done a previous open test as well, and this was just, hey, here's a beta, and now I think everyone's forgotten about it. I haven't seen any advertising for Wildlands anywhere, and it's out next week.
That's crazy.
That's crazy. God knows what's happening with that. But that's pretty much all I played apart from Horizon, but I don't need to talk more about that because Sammy and I have already discussed it.
Yeah.
And that's it. And now, a very special poem from listener McNoisy.
A podcast by many a Ben.
For Push Square fans, both women and men.
Used to live close, but now are parted.
Tarrant is rubbish at Uncharted.
Potter plays games for the plat.
But not on the Pro, 'cause it's not all that.
Rubbish games be indie bin.
Second half. Now let's begin. Welcome to Moan of the Month. This is where we're furious and angry all the time. This week we're furious about what?
The longevity of always online games / the death of retro.
What does that mean, Taron? I'm furious about it, but I don't understand. This is the internet. Explain.
So, how many games now are launching with always online? And they require servers. Servers require maintenance. Servers aren't going to be online forever. So, when we're old and grey and we've got little kids biting at our kneecaps, wanting to see what we used to play when we were their age, what are we going to be able to show them? There's going to be such a reduction on available games for us to play nostalgically, retrospectively, that I'm worried. I'm truly worried. You look at the retro scene now, things like Nintendo 64 are going for like 60 quid in CEX. It's a big market now. Loads of people love collecting these things. There's not going to be that, you know?
Hit me with an example, Tarrant. What we got? Like Hearthstone? Is that what you're talking about?
Ha 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 ha. But yeah, Hearthstone is an example because that obviously requires players and online stuff. But I'm like Battlefront. I can pick up Battlefront 2 on PS2 and play it to my heart's content.
Yeah.
I won't be able to do that in 10 years' time with Battlefront for PS4.
I understand where you're coming from, I really do, and that is going to be an issue for people who play those games, but equally, I would argue that the best games, and this is subjective because I'm talking for me personally, are the ones that aren't online. That's why I don't have PlayStation Plus at the moment, because I honestly think games like The Witcher, like Mass Effect, they're all going to hold up, and some games like Mass Effect 3 had a really surprisingly good multiplayer component, and it's going to be a real shame that you can't share that later on. Incredibly, Demon's Souls servers are still online, by the way.
Yeah,
they're still going. But yeah, you won't be able to show them, your kids, the weens, all the interesting cooperative elements, and you won't be able to play through those games with them if you have a couple of consoles and a couple of copies, and that's a shame. But that's the nature of online games now. There used to be System Link, didn't there, on PS2? You could plug directly into each other with an Ethernet cable and play that way. You can't do that now. That doesn't work. There may be some crazy workaround you can get, but it's not going to be easy.
I had some of my best memories plugging in multiple consoles at a friend's house, having we'd all of us would have like strict
LAN parties.
Yeah, we'd have strict roles, and like who would bring a TV, who would bring controllers, who would bring consoles,
who'd bring the multi-tap.
We'd just sit there and have like this circle. I mean, at the time it was Halo, and we used to play Griffball, but we just had this circle of TVs and consoles, and it's just. I mean, this whole always online shift, it also relates to local multiplayer, couch multiplayer. We were sitting there in Newcastle at yours the other month, and it was like, what should we play? What can we play that's local?
Yeah, there are very few big games that let you do that. That's why I'm a huge supporter of Borderlands, because I think Gearbox have just nailed that. In fact, that's something we didn't mention earlier. That they were at GDC and they showed off some in-engine stuff. Yeah. Very early development on Borderlands 3, which I think everyone knew was probably going to happen, but it's nice to have confirmation that that's going on. But yeah, I think the biggest one for me, and it'll still exist as a really good game, Resistance 3.
It was good fun.
Loved Resistance 3, and I used to play in co-op online with other people, and I know it's got split screen local co-op, but sometimes you do just want to get a couple of TVs together, They turned off the service for that ages ago, like before the PS4 launch, and it's such a shame because it is so great, and there are so few games that do support LAN to even allow these things to continue.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, you look at the really old PC games that kind of started this whole LAN online server stuff, so Quake especially still has servers, but they're run by the players. You won't be able to do that to that degree with consoles, just because of the software navigation around it, and the fact that Sony could just completely stamp it out. It's a real shame that we are going to essentially lose over half of the library on PS4. Yeah,
but I would. I mean, as I said, it's difficult for me to... I understand, but it's difficult for me to properly appreciate that because I don't play Hearthstone and other games like that are always online, that kind of stuff.
Sure.
And equally, I think those games honestly run their course after a while. People stop playing because they can't be asked, whereas with single-player games, you tend to finish playing when you finish it, which then allows you to go back at some point and experience it all over again. And we will still have those games. The Witcher will still exist.
Yeah, of course,
Mass Effect will still exist. The Last of Us will still exist. It'll be a shame that the multiplayer will no longer be online in 15, 20 years, but it'll still be there to show people, look how amazing this is. If anything, we're only moving further into this crazy future of always online, but I think the best games for longevity will not only be playable because they have a decent single player, but because, in my opinion, they are the best games and they deserve to be preserved. Like, I don't necessarily know. Would you want to show your kids Hearthstone in 20 years' time?
I mean, no. Hearthstone's... I don't know why you're latching onto Hearthstone.
No, I don't know either. It's just an online always game that I can...
Yeah,
that
I mean,
you've
Pokemon Go...
that's
That
true.
would be something I'd want to probably show my kids, especially if Pokemon is somehow still going.
They'd have a much better version of it at that point. They'd have a VR version, and it would be crazy. But yeah, you'd only be able to show them videos.
Exactly.
Because it's not a physical thing, it's an app.
Also, saying that physical, like it's not physical... What about patches for single-player games? You're saying that they will endure. Look at The Witcher. The Witcher's been completely saved by patches. A lot of the elements in The Witcher that were not good, like the inventory, which you needed a magnifying glass on your TV to be able to see, those things were improved and fixed with patches. Mm-hmm. But those updates will be digital only. And when the PS4 shutters its library, which it will, you'll lose access to all of these updates and stuff as well.
You're right. You'll only have the core game at release, which in some cases, is not going to be
functional,
ideal at all. Minecraft, for example, is going to be weird. But I imagine that'll live for decades. Minecraft.
That'll live forever. That's digital Lego.
It's not going to die.
Yeah.
I'm just looking around my living room. Pokemon games, old Game Boy cartridges. I suppose the closest thing we've got to that is... with them is that the batteries die and you lose your save, so you can't show your kids your Pokemon because they all died 15 years ago when the battery ran out.
But the thing with that is that it is something you can solve really easily. You pick up a watch battery.
Yeah, I know it's that in that case it's sortable, but the metaphor of the memory, the journey you had, the Pokemon, the thing you might want to show specifically is gone. Because the battery disappeared. You can still make it work if you want to, but the bit that you may have wanted to show is gone.
Yeah, and I think it's something that we should be aware of, especially when we're investing all of this time into these games, is that maybe people should be, like, developers should be pushing local. They should be pushing, like, not necessarily always online, and especially stuff like with game patches that fix a game, like make a game playable. Think about like save corrupting bugs that they fix with a patch. Like, that game then has a finite lifespan completely dictated by the availability of that update. It's weird, and then that's without thinking about the license agreement that every player agrees to by purchasing a game, in the sense that it's on loan to you. For all intents and purposes, you don't technically own that product.
Then you've also got to consider these games that do have a large online component that makes it what it is. May not be the games that you really want to show to your kids, because it was just a thing you played for a while, like Destiny, for example. People still play Destiny, but if you had to play that whole thing by yourself, it would be rubbish. Same with Ghost Recon Wildlands. You do not want to play that on your own. You just don't. That wouldn't be fun. So people will, and they might enjoy themselves, but it's not the kind of game, and I can confidently say it's not the kind of game you're going to want, even if the server stayed on forever, that you're going to want to show to your kids in 20 years' time. It's not going to be that. But if it was, then you wouldn't be able to, because obviously the servers would be turned off and you say, right, here's a big open world where you got to run around with like the people with the worst crack in the entire world.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, honestly, going back, I cannot get over how bad the conversations are in Ghost Recon Wildlands.
They've really rattled your cage, haven't they?
This is the new Moan of the Month, the terrible dialogue. there was a conversation going back and forth while I was driving a tractor between three other imaginary people around me, where they were saying, "Oh, do you ever miss your family? And they were saying things like, I miss my daughter from time to time. Her mother keeps getting on to me about, taking her a few days out of the week. And they said, one of the other ones said, I'm so sorry. And he said, I'm still going to divorce her anyway. And then they laughed. And I was like, what? This is awful. This is the worst. These guys are the worst. I want them to die.
Jeez.
That's why you're driving a tractor the wrong way down the road while two people in trucks are trying to run you off it. That's why. Because you're a terrible person. Anyway, back to the main point. There's a lot of things to consider. As you said, patches, obviously most vanilla games nowadays aren't really up to scratch just because of the nature of game development now, in terms of it has to be out. We have to get it out. And they aren't as lovingly crafted. And I think, honestly, out of everybody putting out games, Nintendo is the place that puts out games that do not need to be patched more often than not.
Yep.
That's why they have that seal of approval. Now, Sony should really have a Sony seal of approval, at least for first-party games, where it's like, this is not coming out until it's finished, until it's ready, until we are sure that it will not break things.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's not a problem. You shrug it off because, a 5-minute patch when you get a game, you expect it now, and you don't really care. But you're right, longevity-wise, when that stuff is disabled, that's going to cause issues.
Exactly. It's just something I was thinking about, and I thought we should talk about.
It was a wonderful topic of discussion. And that was Moan of the Month. Audience question time. It's time to question some audiences. No, hang on. What's the first question?
Riskaz, who is a long-time listener, but first-time contributor for our questions. And he asked a very long question, which I will go into the forum and I will answer everything that we aren't going to answer now, just because you would take up the whole section if we answered your whole question now. But made a very valid question of what are our opinions on the current upgrade policy that Sony has on the PlayStation front. So looking at the Pro and looking at like PlayStation VR and like VR only experiences and Pro only experiences, which we haven't had yet, but I'm sure are going to be around the corner. Which I think the whole upgrade policy in general is a very weird one. I'm so used to just seeing a slim variant of a console and a slightly different color of a console. Those gimmicks that you can look at your day one console and be like, I don't really need it to be thinner. I don't really need it to be ruby red or have like a sliding disc drawer on the top.
It's what you buy when it dies. That's what it is.
Exactly.
For me.
Yeah.
That's honestly the only reason I would ever buy a Pro. Don't get it. I still do not understand it. I know it makes games look significantly more beautiful, but I have a projector set up in my flat at the moment, in like a weird, hokey setup stacked on top of some boxes projecting onto a wall. It's not full 1080p, obviously, because it's a projector and it's not a crazy 4K projector or anything like that. But I tell you what, just like, as I'm sure you go to the cinema or you watch a film on your phone, you'll get in there and think, wow, this screen is massive, this is really cool. Yep. Not a minute into watching a film, not a minute into playing a game, you forget how big it is. It doesn't matter. It does not matter. PS4 Pro, the selling point is that it makes your games run better, which, is a good thing, and also makes them look better. You'll see it and you'll think, this is beautiful. And then you'll forget. And you'll just be playing the game. Yep. I don't understand. I don't think it shouldn't exist necessarily, and I say this a lot to try and get around me sounding like an absolute pessimistic arse. But I'm glad people that have it like it. Yeah, but I don't understand, and I don't need one. And as long as, in terms of opinions on the upgrade policy, so to speak, VR has fallen by the wayside for whatever reason at the moment, despite selling out all over the place. Hopefully we'll see some more stuff at E3. But as for the Pro, as long as you said, Tarrant, as long as they stay away from PS4 Pro only stuff, then I don't really mind. I'm happy for it to coexist with normal PS4s. As long as it doesn't impact me using a Scrub Edition, then I don't mind.
Exactly. Scrub Edition.
It is, isn't it? Really.
Anyway, this one looks way more for you. So, the McNoisy, once again, creeping into the show.
Yeah.
Name your last 20 platinums without looking.
Oh, God. I can't do that.
Go to 5. Try 5.
Okay. Telltale's Minecraft Adventure Mode, Story Mode. Oh God, what have I been playing? I don't know. There was another Telltale game in the last 5, but it wasn't the one before that.
Batman?
No, I haven't done the Batman yet. It was Game of Thrones. I did. Bugger. You know what? I honestly can't remember. I tell you what. Ask the next question, and I'll look them up, and I'll tell you.
Okay. So this one's from Demaster. What would you say is your most cherished video game treasure or item? So this could be a piece of memorabilia, 100% save, or even like a certain console. Now I know you are currently sitting surrounded by wonderful game memorabilia.
Loads of silly child nonsense, yeah.
I got so excited when
money.
I was at your place.
Oh, because of all the Game Boy
stuff.
cabinet. Yeah, I've got a cabinet with every Pokemon game released on Game Boy and Game Boy Color in its box, not sealed obviously, but then a various. I think I've got all apart from the Game Boy printer. I have every accessory released for the original Game Boy and Game Boy Color that was officially licensed. So not the other stuff. Yeah, so I've got hang on, let me slide away from my desk a second and I'll tell you what I've got. I've got some multi-link cable that connects 4 Game Boys.
Ooh.
The Game Boy Light Boy that you attach onto the Game Boy and it lights up the screen.
Yeah. Is that the one with the magnifying glass?
Yeah, I think it is, yeah.
I used to have that. Oh, the nostalgia. I'm grinning like a child.
Hang on. I couldn't tell what it is. I forgot what it was because it was so underwhelming. An official Game Boy cleaning kit.
Oh, yeah, lucky you.
I think that's actually still sealed, actually, with the cellophane and everything. The
Game Boy. Millions.
The Game Boy. Yeah, well, it wasn't when I bought it. The Game Boy camera. A Pokemon branded Game Boy Color link cable. And the Pokemon Pikachu Tamagotchi in its box.
Cool.
I've got that. I've also got a couple of other silly things like a promotional postcard for Final Fantasy VII from 1997 in a little frame as well.
Nice.
As well as like countless other just nonsense.
Oh, it's so good though. I got so excited. Just the Pokemon games in a nice row. You've got yellow to silver, haven't you? That generation. Yeah,
blue, red, yellow, silver, gold, crystal, Pokemon trading card game, Pokemon puzzle challenge, and Pokemon pinball.
Oh, it's just lovely.
Yeah, I like the original Pokemon games.
Yeah, this is still a PlayStation podcast. I can assure you.
Hey, I've already named a PlayStation piece of memorabilia. I've got a Fallout 4 beer set. Or just Fallout beer that I haven't drank. I've got a sealed Fallout 3 Collector's Edition lunchbox.
Nice.
And various other collector's editions and silly nonsense. Some signed posters and Mass Effect figures.
You've got some cool signed poster stuff, haven't you?
Yeah. Loads of crap, really. My favourite is a Beyond Two Souls Dwavid Quage signed poster.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
That's addressed to me.
I don't really buy any of the collector's edition stuff or any of that I call it game tat. I don't pick it up because when I have physical copies, I like them all to be in a line. I don't like having even steelbooks really jar me because they're that bit taller or that bit wider.
Right.
I can't deal with it. And they normally cost more money and I'm a cheapskate. But I'm just... Are you booting up your PS4?
Yeah.
Checking out your plats.
I go through phases with that stuff.
I really, really wanted the Songbird edition of Bioshock Infinite because I loved it. I loved the statue. But my brother is really hot on all the gaming tat, and he's got so many of these statues, and they literally are just thick with dust because they don't do anything. They're just there. And I get it. He enjoys them and whatever. But I'm just trying to think if I actually have anything I cherish. My Hyperlight Drifter save I really cherish because that's pretty special.
Is that the one that disappeared?
And I played it all again and got back. I did it quicker as well, which was even better because the save tells you how long you played it for and the percent of completion. So I was trying to do it. I was not trying to speedrun it, but do it in a respectable time.
Right.
But I'm so close to platinuming it. I have 2 trophies left that are just awful trophies. My Skyrim Platinum I was super proud of for a while. And my Fallout 3 472 hour save I'm pretty proud of.
Right.
So mine are more like I actually play the games.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, I didn't realise.
I mean, I've if we're talking about just general collecting stuff, I have nearly the entire base, fossil, and jungle set of Pokemon in mint condition.
Yeah, we both went through a Pokemon card binge last year, didn't we?
Yeah, I'm still going through it because
I'm thinking of starting to replace some of my base 2 set. It's really
I've got
nerdy
good supplier if you wanna link up.
Does he wear a trench coat? I only buy from people wearing trench coats. Okay, I've got my save. I've got my trophies now.
Okay.
Minecraft story mode.
Yep.
That was my 117th platinum.
Jesus Christ.
That was last weekend. Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
Final Fantasy 15. Her Majesty's Spiffing.
Okay.
And the 5th one was My Name is Mayo.
That's pretty similar to my ones.
Ah, well, yours is significantly worse, and that was my fault.
Mine, I literally just have 5.
Yeah, but some of them came from I have a folder on my PS4 called Trophy Shame. In it is Coffin Dodgers, My Name is Mayo, and Nublar, all of which you can get 3 platinum trophies there in about 4 hours. So when you came over, we did all of them, didn't we?
We did like my last 5 are Her Majesty's Spiffing, My Name is Mayo, Coffin Dodgers, Resogun, and Skyrim. They are my 5 platinum trophies.
I helped you with Resogun.
You helped me with 4 of the 5.
Yes, I did.
Anyway.
Great.
That was embarrassing. Moving on. Big Copman.
Yes.
What game character did you guys like that was in a rubbish game and perhaps deserved to be featured in a better one?
Sir Galahad.
Oh, what, from Medieval?
The Order. No, The Order, 1886.
Oh.
In fact, I like that game. I think it gets a lot of hate, and I don't know. It's not. I know it's not a good game, but I really liked it. I thought it was beautiful, and the story was a bit wonky, but I thought the universe was fascinating, and I'd love to see a sequel. And the naming structure just lends itself to a sequel. You just add another year on the end.
1887.
Yeah, it ended on such a good cliffhanger, and I really cared, and everyone I've lent it to has said, this game was good.
Yeah.
I actually liked this game. And I think it was just one of those games that it was really fun to hate on, and now it's just got this super tarnished reputation. The AI was crap, and the shooting was a bit rubbish. And they recycled the same boss fight, which was really cheap. But I really liked it, and I appreciated it not wasting my time when it clocked in at about 6-7 hours. I didn't need it to be longer than that.
Yeah,
that was
exactly.
perfect for me. I thought that was great. I really liked it, and I think Sir Galahad is a really interesting character, and he was cool as well. Great moustache.
Great tash. That was that E3 again. Everyone had those fake moustaches. E3?
Yes.
EGX.
Yeah, that was the last one I went to.
Yeah, same.
No, it wasn't.
Because I haven't been to one since it went to Birmingham.
Yeah, I have.
Because that is far.
Is it though?
Look, I barely just made it to the London one, which was 20 minutes from my house.
I know, inexcusable really. You say you like games. What's yours?
Oh god, I can't even think. I don't play bad games. I really can't think of like an absolutely memorable character that was in a trashy game. Because I quite like characters and the way that they build the story around them. Oh god, Until Dawn. Who was that real jerk girl?
It's not a bad game.
No, it's a good game, but bad character. So I've switched it around.
Oh, okay.
Just because that's all I can think of.
Which girl? Most of the girls in that were awful. As in, like, horrible people.
One that was like...
That's vague. Not Ashley. The one who was the girlfriend of Mike.
Yes.
The sporty one.
Yes.
Really, I didn't mind her. I really didn't like what's her name? The one who used to go out with Mike, who's dating the guy that no one knows.
Oh, and like she clearly wants him back.
Yeah, and she's got like the voice actor's really whiny, and you're meant to hate her, but she's awful.
Yeah.
I couldn't stand her.
Yeah, she was
really annoying.
I quite liked Until Dawn.
Purposefully tried to kill her off as well. And she out-survived everyone. It was awful.
Because we played that, didn't we? We played
A little
through.
bit, yeah. We played a little bit of it, yeah.
Yeah, that was really cool. But yeah, there you go. I switched it around, made it work.
Flip reverse it.
Yep. Next up.
Rudy Manchego, he says, what do you guys think of Netflix-style subscription services for gaming, such as the one Microsoft announced? Who do you see paying for such a service? It's Netflix-style, but you download it, you don't stream it. So there is a difference there. And we have talked about it earlier. I think it's fine. I think it's just another way for people to access it. I personally wouldn't necessarily use it, and I think, as already stated, if it was available, people would dabble and then not use it, religiously. Because they've got better games out there. There are better games to play. Yeah, exactly. Finally, who we got?
Demaster again, because he was asking some lovely questions.
Here he
this
comes.
week.
Here he comes again.
What would you say makes the Uncharted franchise so special? Now, this definitely isn't a question for me. Although I could probably try and answer it.
No, you shush. We talked about it in our... What?
Jet skis.
Jet skis, yeah. We talked about it in our Game of the Year show at the beginning of the year, and I think it's honestly just the things that Naughty Dog are doing in terms of production values and emotional storytelling is... People are starting to catch up. Horizon specifically is doing a fantastic job from what I've played. Okay. But they are just setting benchmark after benchmark, and they release Uncharted 3 and it's like, wow, this is a really good Uncharted game. And then the Tomb Raider reboot comes out and everyone goes, oh, I don't know, they're getting there. And then they do Uncharted 4. And it's like, it's evolved again. Like, it's a completely different beast now. These guys, I don't know what it is they're doing, but everything they do feels so important and people pay attention to it. And I think it's more than anything, despite the fact that they make incredible games, it's their reputation.
Yeah.
That you know they're going to do something really special, and so you want to like it, you want to appreciate it. And that's why I think they don't get a free pass ever, I wouldn't say, but it always helps to have everyone on your side going into a new IP or a new release.
Definitely.
And equally, the inverse of that is true too, where people who want to, honestly, I think they're just being contrarians when they say, "Oh, I don't like Uncharted." Not speaking for you specifically because you haven't played them.
No.
But like when people say, "Oh, I just hate it. I think it's a rubbish game," or "I hate The Last of Us." It's like, what is wrong with you? Objectively, a phenomenal game, and I don't understand. I could understand maybe Uncharted games if you might find Nathan Drake off-putting and that kind of stuff. That's fine. That's understandable. But you can't say that they're bad games. And equally, that radicalizes the people that do like Naughty Dog games and that don't like Naughty Dog games. So when a new one comes out, more often than not, they'll have tons of people who are saying this is fantastic, and rightfully so. But equally, on the other side of the fence, there will be people who won't just dislike it, they'll hate it. Because it's a Naughty Dog game.
That's the internet, though. The inability to differentiate whether or not it's a good game and a game that they didn't particularly enjoy.
Yes, exactly.
And it's identifying the reasons between those 2 points is what essentially forms the opinion, not I didn't like it, so it's a shit game.
Yeah, agreed. And Naughty Dog, I just think, just so far ahead of the curve, everything they're doing. So excited to see the standalone Uncharted adventure as well as The Last of Us 2.
Yeah.
At some point, it'll be fantastic. They're in another stratosphere with each game that comes out. Their mythical status keeps developing, and as long as they keep the right staff on board, the right people running the show, then it's never going to stop. It's just going to keep getting better and better and better. And the more Sony trust them, the more they're able to take more risks and try different things. And I don't know what their internal process is for, like ego checking people, but no one ever seems to run away with an idea or take it too far.
Yeah, it's
always refined and always just perfectly executed.
I love the Grounded series that they did on YouTube for the Last of Us.
I didn't see them.
Oh, it's so inspiring, especially for someone that's learning to make games. It's so inspiring, the way that they give everybody a voice.
Right.
Like, Druckmann's obviously leading the ideas, but he's so ready to hear someone else. Mm-hmm. He's very humble in his idea, which I think is very special.
Right.
So yeah, like you said, it keeps everyone's ego in check because everybody feels like they're on a similar level. There's no like leader per se.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you know what I think makes the Uncharted franchise really special?
Go on.
Those character animations for the multiplayer, the emotes.
The dancing.
Brilliant.
I still can't watch the DNC Cake by the Ocean video.
Yeah, that's so
dancing.
funny.
It's
I
just
thought it was
great.
brilliant. Just because those character animations are hard work.
Oh, they mocapped the dancing. Yeah.
That's so cool.
They got actual dancers in for taunts. It's fantastic.
It's brilliant.
I would have preferred Richard McGonagall doing a dance move, honestly. I think that would be funnier, but that's fine. That's
Cool.
fine too. Finally, Demaster also asks, and now about the podcast, should we expect a certain date every month for a brand new episode to be uploaded? No, honestly, no. It's going to shift. You will get one a month, but it's going to shift and change, as we said at the start of the show, depending on when games are released. So we wanted to get this one out now so we could talk about Horizon, and then the next one will probably be right at the start of April so we can talk about Mass Effect. And then I don't know what the next big game is for me. It will be Persona 5, but then obviously you're going to have to wait a few weeks to hear about it because we don't want to release another podcast immediately because that comes out at the start of the month.
Exactly.
So yeah, it's going to be interesting, but if you follow us on the Twitter at PushSquarePod, we'll keep you updated. If you have any questions, ask us. We can reply there and then.
Yep.
Nice and simple. Speaking of which, if you have any questions for us, ask them in the Push Square forums. We're under the online and communities section and stickied right to the top. Alternatively, you can email us directly on our email, podcast@pushsquare.com.
And as we mentioned, we have the Twitter account where you can follow us. We'll keep you up to date with what's going on, when we're going to be releasing, when we want questions, and generally just have a chat. It's great. I get all that straight to my phone so I can answer you straight away. It'd be good just to have a chat and talk to you guys and see what you think. So
Come
that's
hang out.
at
Come
Push
be our
Square
buddies.
Pod.
At Push Square Pod. That's at Push Square Pod. At Push Square Pod. At Push Square Pod. That's at Push Square Pod.
Let's end the show.
At Push Square Pod. Yeah, let's do it. At Push Square Pod.
Coming up on pushsquare.com is heaps of Horizon Zero. Coming up on pushsquare.com is heaps of Horizon Zero Dawn stuff. So we're going to have guides, we're going to have tips and tricks, secrets, Easter eggs, all of that. That's going to be coming up. There's loads up on the site already, and there's going to be more to come. So if you're into that, you're in luck.
Hell yeah.
And we're going to have lots of stuff slowly trickling through for all the big releases that are going to be coming out towards the end of March, beginning of April. So expect some little tidbits on Mass Effect and stuff like that.
Amazing. Now, if you want all that coming straight to your social media feeds, then follow us on Twitter at PushSquare or find us on Facebook.com/PushSquare. If you want to see rather than read, go to YouTube.com/PushSquare, where you can find streams, vlogs, and other video form shenanigans. But what if they'd like to hear more of us?
The Push Square podcast can be found on SoundCloud, Stitcher, and iTunes, where if you chuck a 5-star review, that would be fantastic.
Love you, friend.
Or if you want to see or hear anything that we've previously done, go to www.pushsquare.com/podcast. There you'll find an archive of everything we've done previously.
And in the site redesign, we're featured on the right-hand side of the page.
We are. Exciting.
We're there. I don't know if we mentioned that in the last show.
I don't think we did.
Push Square has had a complete overhaul. It's very sexy and beautiful, and website wizard Ant Dickens has done a fantastic job of making that happen. We are now featured prominently about halfway down the page on the right-hand side. The latest episode will appear there. Prey is there currently. No, it's not. It's us now, I realise. In the future, it will be us. When I'm talking, it's Prey. But you'll see a big picture of Aloy's face, probably. And that'll be us. Sitting there, waiting to be clicked on. You've already done it. Don't even know why I'm saying it, but we're there. We're still there.
What is time?
I don't understand. So make sure you keep it locked to pushsquare.com, the best PlayStation website on the internet. And if anyone tells you otherwise, you can punch them in the face. That's a rule. That's a rule. Thank you, Tarrant.
Thank you, Potter.
We'll see you next time.
Thank you for listening to the Push Square Podcast. For the latest PlayStation news, reviews, and features, visit www.pushsquare.com.